happen by the end of this small talk is we're going to get you to understand what virtual reality means, not just for gaming, but as a technology, and how that applies to your organization, and also a practical guide of what game-based means, what simulation, and how does it go all the way to virtual reality. So in fact, how can you use this new exciting consumer trend within your organizations today? So essentially, it's a practical guide of where we are today, where your training is today, and how it can use virtual reality to transform that training. Before we begin, let's set the context here, right? Why are we even doing this? Well, this is a often cited graphics. Everyone knows about this. This is the rise of the millennials, the hordes. They're coming, they're here. 1/3 or more of the workforce as of 2014 of the United States was formed of millennials, and worldwide they're going to be 75% by 2030. In fact, in the United States, they've already crossed 50%, but the statistics are still to come in. But as of 2016 and definitely by 2017, they'll be half or more of the workforce. And the interesting thing about us millennials is, how do we consume media, right? We don't consume media in the normal way, and the quality of the media that we consume is pretty high. So we do it on our smartphones, right? So there's a disruption happening at different levels. There's a disruption in demographics, there's a disruption in games, and there's a disruption in hardware. And when we say game, we mean media in that sense. And where we are sitting with training is somewhere at the intersection of all of these trends. You can't afford to ignore any one of these. The people, the hardware, and the media habits, all of them are really relevant, and that's how your training needs to change along with these. What happens when you game or when you consume media? For instance, all of you looking down on your laptops or smartphones or tablets right now, is there are two important things that happen that absolutely don't happen when we create our training programs. That's flow, right? We're never in the flow, the zone, and presence. This is really important, and I want to talk about this for a bit. VR, gamification, or gamification, whatever you want to call it, AR, all have benefits that talk to flow and presence. When someone's immersed, when someone's emotionally open for learning something, which is what sort of games do, they also teach you, they are more open to experiences. So think of them as learning experiences which open your learners up emotionally. And nothing does this as well as games and simulations, VR and AR. And the other aspect of this is presence. You need to feel you're there. You need to feel the bots or the other people you're interacting with in the environment are in fact there. They're present. So whether it's an instructor or whether it's a coworker or it's some kind of peer-to-peer learning scenario is ineffective if presence is not real. And nothing does presence as well as virtual reality. You guys should stop by our booth at 432 and check it out. And also AR. Mixed reality, if you want to call it that, is also going to bring about presence that's going to make it really, really interesting to transform training. So what do the future worlds look like? Well, future worlds for training are basically what we call, instead of being instructional designers, instead of being learning programmers, think of yourself as world builders, right? World builders are greater than storytellers, which is what we are told. Instructional designers need to be storytellers, sure. But what if you could also build your own worlds? You could immerse your learner in a world that you've created for their learning experiences and tell your story while they are in it. And everyone's watching Westworld, right? A Westworld-like world is possible today. And hence, of course, they're greater than instructional designers. In fact, this is a screenshot from one of the games that Indusgeeks is creating for transactional negotiation in an alien universe. So this is, how training will look like, the quality of training content will look like in a few years. And this is really interesting. Let me talk about this a little bit. For millennials and for everyone, honestly, training starts off by being boring. It's mandated, it's something you have to do to keep your job and to tick off a few boxes. is not something that people are really interested in. So you're starting with that benchmark already. Training is boring. On top of that, we have media that we're supplying, stuff that we call animation very fondly, which is supposed to thrill these people. Essentially, 1990s animations and templates that are supposed to thrill these people into learning more and training better. How is that going to happen? While they're consuming, YouTube and the best games and playing Clash of Clans on their phone, just because you're now supplying your training on mobile, right? Because you suddenly got mobile and responsive, you haven't changed the main problem, which is in the content. The content itself is excruciatingly boring. So yes, you have solved the accessibility problem. You've made it accessible on mobile phones and tablets, but the content is still the same as 99. It just is now accessible on your mobile phone. Well, great. I'm going to take it off at home, but I'm still not interested in training. I'm still not interested in learning. So the fundamental shift that I think organizations and us as training professionals need to make is, how do we get to the crux of the problem? How does the content itself become compelling enough for you to want to train? Why don't we come back? Why is there not the same amount of immersion and interest and engagement in training as there is in entertainment, right? This is an interesting graphic, right? So the future is now, but I also want you to focus on how interested the person is in literal rapture, as I call it, with the content. How often have we seen that in our training content? We don't see it, right? So how do you go from where we are today, where people are clicking away on their computers and on their mobile phones, to using and being in rapture, in flow, in presence of virtual reality and gamified content? So the future is here. Sega started, well, at least in some sense, Sega launched VR in '91. We've come a long way, but this time, it does seem real with all the investments coming through. I do want to add, there wasn't enough space, but 2016, you've got the HoloLens. 2017, you're going to have the Magic Leap glasses and VR investments. Sony VR, there's a lot of investments happening by major companies in VR. Okay, so we're convinced, hopefully, about the benefits of going down this route. How do you do it, right? So we often get these sort of, arguments, if you will, from corporate organizations and trainers. Well, it's too expensive. Isn't it for gamers? Isn't it too tough? And how are we going to get people to actually use it? Well, this is the thing. There is a reason why companies like Apple and Microsoft are investing in VR and AR. In fact, it's not difficult. It is not for gamers. It is the most intuitive interface you'll find because it allows you to just do things as opposed to learn new software. That's the big shift. And we don't have to wait as training professionals and as training industry, on the whole, we don't have to wait for 5 years before this exciting consumer trend becomes affordable, acceptable, usable in our organizations. We can do it today. Why? What are the numbers looking like? I'm going to, just 171 million active VR users. These are the consumer trends. $30 billion in VR and AR, 500 million VR headsets by 2025. That's 500 million, folks. That's like almost half of Facebook at some point. So what are the different approaches, right? There seem to be so many choices. We have mobile VR. We have something as easy and cheap as a cardboard. And on the higher end, you have devices like the HTC Vive, which require a significant investment in hardware, sort of $900 for the device and another $1,500 in the laptop or the PC that will run it, because it won't run on basic PCs. So these are the different choices and options, and what I'm going to do is talk about them and help you understand how we're going to be able to use each one of them. So let's talk about mobile VR. Mobile VR is essentially the power that you're carrying in your pockets today, on your phones right now. Is it possible? Yes. If you have a new phone, less than 2 years old, whether it's an iPhone 6 Plus or it's a new Samsung device or any kind of Android device, you can just take it, download a VR app, insert it in an $8 cardboard, and you will get 70% of the immersion experience of a $1,500 machine. 70%, folks. We have it. You do it right now. It's affordable. It's cheaper than giving out coffee or very expensive coffee in your organization. It's just $8. So there is no reason to not try it. That's the point we're trying to make. Simply supply your workforce with these $10 headsets, see how excited they get, and from that point on, you can decide whether you want to make more investments in VR. The second category is, of course, a little more interesting, is PC VR, or some kind of device where it can be console-based. But essentially here, the VR devices are more immersive. They allow you control, and they allow you to be tethered to a more powerful machine that allows you to do more, whether it's haptics, whether it's interactivity, or whether it's just great graphics. You can do all of it. High fidelity, right? This is the kind of device that I want you to think about as mainframes. And if you go back to the 80s, the hardware was sold along with the software, right? That's not happening enough. For the enterprise training market, you can't wait for people to start getting VR devices like they have tablets or phones. It's still at least 5 to 6 years away. But what you can do is start thinking of them as computer labs. Remember those quaint little things we had back sort of 10 to 15 years ago, in organizations where you had center of excellence? Why not think of VR devices like that? You have these sort of mainframe computers, $2,500 devices, buy 10 of them, set up a center of excellence, and let people come in and train. Sure, you still have the physical liability of a simulation center, but you have the benefits of digital simulations, immersion, interactivity that you haven't ever experienced before, and your learners have never experienced before. So that's another approach on how your organization could use expensive PC-based devices, kind of like a computer lab, sort of, practical guide. So if you compare these two, what are the benefits? What are the pros? So it's cost effective. The PC VR gives you higher fidelity. Limited hardware requirements on the mobile part. You have enhanced interactivity, realistic controls on PC VR. It's very portable. Your phones are really portable. And the PC VR is very intuitive because it allows you better interactivity. The limitations, limited fidelity, expensive hardware, limited portability. There's a very interesting point here. VR is waiting for a killer app moment. We're just waiting for the Instagram or the Facebook, that's going to transform VR. And that's not very far. And training, I'm going to quote Tim Cook here, the Apple CEO. When he was asked about VR and AR, just recently, about a couple of months ago, and he spoke about it, and he said, AR, I see that being very pervasive, mixed reality, interfaces, all devices, they're going to live in an augmented reality or mixed reality environment. VR, the biggest use I see, the biggest killer app I see is training. Maybe our moment has just arrived, folks. Maybe HR tech, ed tech, training tech, whatever you want to call it, maybe this is the moment to grab the lead in a technology that can do more in the training world than it can hope to do maybe even in entertainment. I'm really excited about it. So what's the road ahead, right? You have cost-effective mobile VR as an organization. You can start implementing it right now. Find great killer uses for training, and these exist. I mean, really, you don't even need to think out of the box. I can imagine an oil rig, right? A deep sea oil rig, and you're already doing a lot of these safety trainings in-house with expensive simulation equipment. Think about healthcare training. We do a lot of work in healthcare. Expensive training equipment, expensive and potentially fatal environments where you need safe environments to practice in, where you can immediately implement VR and see benefits. The cost-benefit analysis will work even with expensive PC-based VR devices. Relatively expensive. It's as expensive as an expensive laptop. And then, eventually, hopefully, in about 5 to 6 years, once the device problem's gone, a headset, a glass disappears into your eyes, then you have it everywhere, right? And it's just not going to impact. Think about what happens to training. Think about what happens to entertainment when you no longer need a screen in front of you. You always have it. So those of you who follow Netflix, I'm sure you guys have seen Black Mirror. It's a very popular sci-fi, science fiction show, and I would recommend seeing it, but not be scared by it. It takes a dystopian view of things, but it's very interesting. So what can you do? These are some of our implementations. You have telepresence. This is really important. From a training point of view, you have social learning. You're going to see virtual worlds make a comeback, right? You have multi-user, people coming and inhabiting learning environments, talking to each other, talking to the instructor. You're going to have the new instructor-led training happening because you have presence with your instructor with the benefit of telecommuting. So telepresence is going to be big. And it's not just going to change VR, it's going to change meetings, it's going to change entertainment. But from a training perspective, you're seeing better social learning and better instructor-led learning. Healthcare. In fact, this is a huge sector for investment as far as VR is concerned. A lot of healthcare adoption in simulation and gaming currently has the bottleneck of not being high fidelity enough. It's an industry which requires very high fidelity for physicians, for nurses to perform clinical and medical actions, and VR is a great example for what can happen in healthcare. We have opportunities in defense and security. In fact, this is a prototype of something we developed for the FEMA, which was screen-based, but then we moved it to VR. I'm going to talk a little bit about AR and mixed reality, right? This is the closest we've gotten to holograms. You've kind of seen the little vignettes, little pieces of applications all around us already. We've seen these teddy bears pop up, new coloring books in augmented or mixed reality. You have Apple trying to do interesting things with augmented reality, which we'll see very much in the near future. By the way, a quick pro tip here. Apparently iPhone 8, and if I get sued for this, then well, you know why. It's supposed to be just a solid slab of glass. That's the rumor. So you will just insert it in mobile VR, and now you have full immersion with augmented or with VR happening right there. So big investments are being made in the market, and of course AR is at the forefront. Some uses of AR that are very popular that I'm sure you're aware of is in manufacturing, and again in healthcare. The ability to, for instance, transform technical training and process-based training by taking your device, pointing it at the machine or the process that you're looking to train, and have real-time information, AI, be available on the screen contextually in real time. So just in time, performance support and training happening in real time using augmented reality. The HoloLens. Once this happens, and becomes mainstream, we already have the first version out, it's going to transform training, it's going to transform the ability to create a CAD design, move it on ramp, on the spot, in real time, and check it out. Say for instance, if I was designing a car, I could create it, move it to a virtual interface and see how it performs. That kind of benefit, it's sort of the way it's going to transform training is impossible to predict. These are the different industries that we think have unlimited potential. You have health, entertainment, automotive, advertising, education, tourism, space. That's going to be big. Skilled trades, and of course the military and armed forces. This is how real, follow the money, right? So you've got estimatedly $16.1 billion coming in terms of sort of software revenues from VR and AR from the enterprise and the public sector, and you have the consumer market at about $18.9 billion. So you have a combined revenue of close to about $40 billion between enterprise and consumer. And I want you to focus on the enterprise side of this. Look at healthcare, $5 billion, engineering, real estate. Now, mind you, these are not training per se. These are not revenues estimated to come out of training, but they are going to be enterprise software. And training is going to be an important component of that. And it's up to us to make it happen. I want to talk a little bit about actual case studies. So this is something that was done by the German government, by the Deutsche Bahn, and what they did was, in fact, I was speaking to someone at the conference here, and I heard that the Canadian government's trying to do something similar in terms of transportation. The Deutsche Bahn was looking at finding railway people working on their railway infrastructure, and it employs a lot of people, and they weren't being able to recruit millennials. They wanted to make the job exciting, so what they did was they created a VR experience, a 360 VR video that they sent out to folks. And when people experience what Deutsche Bahn really did, what the railway system really did for them, the training, effectively the recruitment went up, and you had 12,000 applicants applying, and this is a real life use case. And we're just starting to see the trickle, people. If the first use case, there's going to be many more happening. By next year, we'll probably have 3 of our own to showcase here. Going back to the Canadian government bit, what the Canadian government's doing right here is they're looking to, in the same way, hire millennials for their mining industry. And they're trying to create a VR application that people will actually carry to the rural areas in Canada with these VR headsets, where people will be given an experience of what it is to live the life of someone who drives the heavy equipment in mining industry, and they hope to recruit people that way. So we're starting to see this happen. Sure, everyone's seen the Ford ad with VR, so advertising is using this, entertainment is using it, but training and recruitment are starting to use it too. So what about AR training? Do we have a use case? Apparently we do. The Boston Research Group did training for both desktop and mobile-based, mobile AR-based training. And what they found was that when they had students train on these two different methods of training, these were the results. The people who used AR training had 90% drop in actual assembly work and 35% better efficiency in their assembly line time when compared to people using desktop-based training. So we can really see the level up in training from simple computer-based, web-based training to AR and VR-based training with statistics like this. What is the path forward? Where do we go, right? Wow, AR is exciting, VR is exciting, but my organization is not gonna shell out the money. I'm not gonna get a buy-in to make this happen. How do I make this happen? I'm really excited. What we recommend to our clients and our partners is start with simple screen-based games and simulations. There is enough significant traction in gamification, in game-based training, that you can get your organizational buy-in for that. The budgets are there, the tools are there, the vendors are there, including us, of course, and you can start with basic screen-based games and sims. But what you want to do, and what we absolutely ensure we do, is to future-proof your content. Sure, we'll go ahead and make the game. What happens 2 years from now? I hear about this new VR, AR technology. Is that going to supersede everything we're doing right now? The answer is no. You can have your vendor today create games that future-proof your content from screen-based. That's what we are doing right now with all of our customers. We'll create something for you for screen-based that sits on your learning management system today. That's available to your users today on their laptops, on their mobile devices. But what's exciting is in 2 years or in a year's time, when you're ready to move to VR, the same content will get ported to your VR device or to your AR device, thereby securing your investments and getting organizational buy-in. And of course, far into the future, and by that I mean like 5 years really, that's how far you can see into the future right now. By 2020 or by 2021, we're going to start seeing pervasive VR. It's not going to be a question anymore. Just like gamification is no longer a question of should we, right? It's how do we. By 2021, it's going to be, heck, everyone's using it. It's everywhere. All devices are VR and AR enabled. How do we get our training there? And if you've made your investments today, your investments will scale and should scale all the way from screen-based games and simulations today to pervasive AR, VR in 4 to 5 years. So this ends the top part of it. You guys should go to our booth at 4:32 and check out a live demo. We do have about 20 more minutes, but what I'm going to do is open it up for Q&A to the audience. If anybody has any questions, be happy to talk to you guys. Any questions, guys? Wow. Did I end too early? No, so please go to, oh yeah, there you go. The question is, are there any mobile apps that you already have or mobile apps that you already have that you recommend? We custom create apps for you. There are some in the market that you should check out. Pretty easy, go to the App Store, look for an AR-enabled app, and get your first experience. Start with AR and then get a VR device, a simple cardboard, $10. Start with that, and and of course we have some on our website that you can download. Any other questions? Take your time, folks. Augmented reality, virtual reality, no questions at all. Okay.
Great.
Thank you. Yes. What's her name? Michelle is asking, what kind of software do I need to create AR or VR experiences? That's a great question. Right now you need to use either game engines or game engine plugins like Euphoria, Unity, Unreal. That'll help you create virtual reality or augmented reality experiences. Well, very soon we believe you will see rapid authoring. I hate the term, but rapid authoring tools starting to embed AR and VR components as a part of that. So as an animator or as an instructional designer, you will be able to easily insert these components as a part of your standard e-learning. Any other questions? Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time. We hope to see you at our booth 432. Please come for a live HTC Vive demo. Thank you all.